balance between being a firm leader but maintaining our compassion towards others?
That is always the struggle and the balance of being a leader. One of the most challenging things is when we work in nonprofit work. Majority of the people that we are engaging with are volunteers. Right? And if the majority of the people that we're engaging with are volunteers, then it is important to accept the reality that they are just that. People who are paying with their energy, people who are paying with their time in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why I noticed something from my teachers that I will share with you. I never sat in a class with my teachers, and remember, I'm not talking about like a math teacher, which was always my least favorite subject, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about scholars of Islam, when they will look at me and they'd say, thank you for making this a priority in your life. And that was big. So showing a level of appreciation to the people that we're engaging with, showing a level of appreciation to the people and verbalizing it. Instead we're like, brother, isn't Allah a priority in your life? Sister, don't you want to make sure that this event is successful? Like, how dare you go ahead and go out with your friends instead of be here? No. Be kind and compassionate. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. There's one thing that I want us to understand, and that is the prophetic tradition that I've been struggling to implement in my life, to be honest with you, and that is to allow every single person you come across to feel loved. Unconditionally loved. If you are a leader, this is wajib for you. That sister that attends the dars, that brother that comes once a week, that person that shows up once a month maybe, that you allow them to feel valued, appreciated, and treasured every single time. And the minute we do that, people will look at the masjid completely differently. And people will look at you and our organizations completely differently. So be communicative of this and be appreciative of what they bring to the table. As a youngster who grew up working with an organization called YM, I remember I used to be very frustrated with people, like they weren't at quote unquote my level of dedication. But subhanAllah, as time came by, I remember to learn, he's like, you know what, Tariq, I'll be honest with you, I can only give 1 hour 1 month. I was like, Jazakallahu khairan. Let me know what you want to do, and I'll be happy to facilitate it for you. You can only give 2 hours every 2 months, no problem. You can only give this much. Value the time that people give and appreciate the skill set that they bring. That's something that's very, very important. That is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Not everybody is meant to do the same work, and not everybody is meant to do it in the same capacity. So keeping this in mind will help us to engage with people in the best of manners, inshaAllah ta'ala.
May I add just one? And Jazakallah khairan. And just to remember, subhanAllah, this entire convention, this entire, I don't know, what is it, 17,000 plus people was all organized 100% for an entire year. Actually, for how many years now? It's been going 16. So for 16 years, 100% volunteers have planned this convention year round, so nonstop. So as soon as this convention is over, they meet January 1 and they start reviewing for the next couple of weeks of what happened this year, and then they start planning again for where are we now?
2018.
Well, we're in
It's going to be 2018.
It's going to be 2018. Okay, I got lost for a moment. So that's amazing. Just wanted to remind you, volunteers 100%, subhanAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of them. Jazakumullah khairan.
So the next question is, how do we inspire others to become active volunteers and members of the Ummah and eventually become leaders? So basically, how do you empower others around you?
Alhamdulillah. Please feel free to jump in. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's take the example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. One of the ways in which he encouraged his companions and those around him, he would highlight and even give them nicknames based off of something that they were good at or something that they were known for. So one of the ways in which you can empower people around you is, number one, let go of some of that control. Let them try. Remember we talked about the fear of failure? Not only do we have a fear of failure for ourselves, but we don't want to relinquish control because we don't want any project that we are related to fail as well. Give people a chance. And that's how they will learn, right? And again, there can be guidance, there can be, some type of mentorship, there can be a pairing of somebody experienced with somebody less experienced. That's one thing. And look for the good qualities in individuals like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did. Oh, this person, you know what? I'm watching them. I see them in my class, or I see them around, or I see them, in the masjid, or I see them anywhere. This person is really good at details. This person's really good at speaking. This person's really good at organizing. This person has a really good organizing way of thinking. Has a very good analytical way of thinking. So look for those good qualities in individuals and push them and mentor them. And again, but like Sheikh just reminded us, be compassionate with them and soft. And inshallah, you will instill that lack of fear of failing in them as well, and really motivate them to try, inshallah.
So the next question is, how do we balance doing good for other people and basic responsibilities like becoming a doctor, personal aspirations, and accomplishments?
This continues to happen. Again, the same situation where I get the harder one. This is just not fair at this point. There's definitely a barakah factor with Sister Lobna that's happening here.
The barakah is happening to you, so you're getting good questions.
That's enough. Anyway, so with regards to the balance of life, obviously life is all about balancing a few things. I want to take a moment to talk about something which is a little bit unspoken, particularly amongst brothers, and that is the concept of self-care. That is the concept of self-care. My dear brother, my dear sister, you will not be able to care for others if you do not take care of yourself. I'm going to say it again. You will not be able to serve humanity. You will not be able to serve the community. You will not be able to serve your family unless you take time to serve yourself, to care for yourself. And that's something that I'm reminded every single day by my brother, my younger brother, my even youngest brother, my mother, my father, as a person who is a quote-unquote community servant, constantly being reminded that unless you care for yourself, you will not be able to care for others. So now let's talk about what it means to care for yourself. If you're waking up every single day and you're trying to save the world, but you're not trying to save yourself from the hellfire, you're doing something wrong. Right? The first commandment that we have is to save ourselves and our families from the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. That, oh, you who believe, save yourselves and your families from a fire, the fuel of which is the body of men and women. So take time to invest in your own spiritual well-being. Take time to invest in making appointments with Allah. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he talks about a personal appointment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every single day in worship, in seclusion. And he says, this is the nourishment of my soul. This is what? This is the nourishment of my soul. So making time to talk to Allah. If you're leading community events that have hundreds of people, but you cannot recite Quran properly, there's a problem in the equation. And I'm sorry to say that. If you're standing in front of hundreds of people and talking about the seerah, and all you're doing is regurgitating Imam Umar Sulaiman videos, and you don't even make, I'm just being honest, and you're not taking time to study the Quran at all, there's a problem in the equation. So investing time in your own education, but that's not the only element of self-care. Self-care also means taking time to rest. Self-care also means making time to care for yourself, to love yourself, to sleep, to take a nice shower, to buy yourself something nice, to eat good food, to enjoy other people's company, to go on vacation, to do the things that we think are weaknesses but make us human. Those are things the Prophet ﷺ used to do. Yes, he didn't get on a plane and go to Cancun, but the Prophet ﷺ used to sit after Fajr and kick it with the Sahaba and talk about their dreams and aspirations of life. And they used to wrestle in the masjid. Right? The classic thing we all know. So making time to just relax and be human. And by doing so, you'll be able to find the energy to be the superhero that you want to be, inshallah ta'ala.
Our next question has to do with becoming a leader and then also being a follower. So the question is addressing what are situations in which we should be leaders and actively take roles versus when we should be followers and support the people who are in charge.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Great question. Fantastic question. That's a really good question. So we'll take the first part of it. You know, how do you know when you can kind of step up and be a leader? If you see that there is no organized effort, or you're not going to step on somebody's toes. I mean, if you're working within a certain framework, let's say you're in a certain high school and you're already in an MSA and there's already a project going on, you're not going to say, excuse me, I'll just be the leader, when there's a whole process that's been laid out. And I'm just giving that as an example, whatever it is that you're looking for. But you see an initiative, don't wait for permission for someone to say, yeah, go ahead and start this. Go ahead and do it. Nobody's going to hold you back and say, well, why didn't you ask permission? Unless there's some very clear-cut framework within which you're working, right? Other than that, if there is some type of permission you need to receive from an organization or the masjid, because there's rules about, the masjid cannot have a certain event without permission or what have you, go and ask. And they say, no, we don't have time. Go and say, no, this is why we need to do this. This is a need that we have, and this is why we want to do it. So take the initiative. Don't be afraid of a no, In your life, don't be afraid of rejection. It's okay. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the idea. Tell yourself that. I'm serious. Again, don't hold back for fear of somebody saying no, and don't wait for permission either. Don't wait for somebody to say, hey, go ahead and be awesome today. Go be awesome today. And whatever it is that you want to do, that little step. When should you be a follower? Again, when there's some clear construct. You're within a team. This has been, leadership position has been delineated. You're part of the group. You're within the committee. Don't be, excuse me, and you keep butting heads. Give your opinion. Prophet ﷺ, he would take the opinions of the Sahaba. They would ask him sometimes whether it was within a battle or even other opinions that he had given. They say, Ya Rasulullah, is this wahi? Is this revelation? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell you to do this? Or is this from your own opinion? And it was from his own opinion. He said, okay, can I offer my own opinion? The Sahabas would say that, right? So if there is a clear-cut leader, yes, alhamdulillah, we have the concept of shura, you can give advice, but when a decision has been made, you don't go around and say, I can't believe we have this silly decision, this is terrible, this is so bad. Once the decision's been made, you go with it and you support it. And if it has to fail, it will fail. And it'll be a learning point for everybody. But if there's not some type of framework and you want to go ahead and start something, be that go-getter and do it. Inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in all of our efforts.
I'm going to say something that's actually a little bit important that we forget a lot of times. And it's something that I learned today, which is to be very, very observant. Part of being a leader is being very observant. Let me give you an example. I remember I went to Egypt and I was like super excited, student of knowledge life, finally gonna live it up, do everything I wanted to do. And I saw Imam Suhaib there, and I think it was his last semester there. And I was like, Imam Suhaib, give me advice. And I expected like some type of light to just shine onto his face and something really epic to happen. And Imam Suhaib is like, be observant. And I was like, bro, like that, you're for real right now? That's all you're gonna say? Just like be observant? And he said, be observant of everything and everyone. I was like, all right, if you say so. And for the rest of my journey, whether it was in Egypt or Palestine or Medina, for whatever time Allah blessed me undeservingly of myself to be there, I took this and I lived it to the best of my ability, alhamdulillah. And what that showed me was things you'd never imagine. Let me give you an example. I remember going to the masjid whenever I was able to go to the masjid and finding that the first person in the masjid was the one who used to clean the masjid. A small individual, very scrawny, small individual who did not know how to read or write, subhanallah. Yet he would be standing in the night and praying and crying to Allah. Allahu Akbar. It wasn't the scholars, it wasn't the person who opened the masjid, was the cleaner of the masjid, who I found almost day in and day out. He was an illiterate man raising his hands and talking to Allah. Unbelievable. And I remember observing something more. I remember observing certain people, like my roommate was Chinese and I would live with them for a long time. Right? And let me tell you, their food does not taste like P.F. Chang's. It's something completely different, right? It's like you do not, it's wild out there, okay? So I remember living with him and we would fight over the AC and so on and so forth. I remember noticing him do something consistently. And I asked him, why every single day before you sleep, you make a quick phone call? It literally lasts a minute. He says, because before I sleep, I call my mother in China every day and ask her if she's pleased with me. And I was like, bro, come on, man. That's like one of those movie scenes. You serious right now? Like that's unbelievable. But he did that, and I learned from that. It was via observing, maybe a little bit, intruding into my roommate, but nonetheless it was observing. And let me give you something that I observed today. I came over here and I observed something, and I don't care, it's completely, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not very much into being politically correct, but I've observed Sister Lobna, and I wanted to take something from her today, and one thing I observed of her that I perhaps lack in is immense manners. Every time she was asked a question, she said, Jazakallah khairan, subhanallah, mashallah, thank you very much. And she ended every answer with a dua. It's like, man, that's beautiful right there. That's something that's very prophetic. That's something that we should all try to take. So if you live your life trying to learn things from everybody that you come across, you will never end a day without having grown as a person. And I'm not talking about growing in size and pounds. I'm talking about growing in knowledge and wisdom and experience. And that's something that we can try by being more observant, insha'Allah ta'ala.
So the next question reads, when I attend lectures, I think about how I can teach it to others, and when I do it, it resonates with them, but it doesn't resonate with myself, which makes me feel like a hypocrite. So how do we get out of this idea of hypocrisy, and how can we kind of pure ourselves of it?
I feel relieved.
So you relay the information and the person that you relate to is more touched by it than yourself. That's okay. SubhanAllah. You know, when you were, Sheikh Tariq, when you were making dua and saying, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose all of us to be Muslims, and I was thinking you're also going to say, you know, alhamdulillah, that we're also been chosen to be here. Right? This is an invitation. You know, many times people go for Umrah, people say, and they're waiting for their visa, are we going to go, are we not going to go, and all, you know, say, this is an invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've been invited to be here today, right? For a reason. Somebody invited you, you came, doesn't matter how you came, somebody forced you to be here, like you better be here, else you're not gonna, whatever it is, right? But you came here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invited you here. It was meant to be. It very well may be that you learned something and you shared it with somebody else and it touched them more. You became the passageway for knowledge for somebody else. Even if you didn't feel it yourself as much as your friend, you're gonna get rewarded for that. You became a vehicle for haqq. You became a vehicle for truth. That's awesome. You should be happy about that. What is a hypocrite? What is a hypocrite? Why do we call ourselves a hypocrite? We heard this a lot over the knowledge retreat and we're hearing it today again. That's when you pretend. You're pretending to say, I believe in Allah. You pretend to be a good Muslim to show off, but inside you're like, ha ha ha, I'm evil. That's a hypocrite. Okay, that's a very layman's way of explaining hypocrisy, and please, you know, feel free to add on to that. So if you are trying to do your best and you're not feeling it, that's not hypocrisy. Or you're trying to do your best and you're involved in some deep sinning. Okay, again, we're going to be talking a lot in this convention about, you know, we're trying to model after the Prophet, we're trying to be awesome. We're trying to do all of those things. We're all trying, but some of us, we fall into some deep sinning or we regress and we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. There's all kinds of shades of things that we're not supposed to be doing, whether it's not doing enough of the good things or we're really steeped in some of the deep sinning, right? That does not make you a hypocrite. It makes you a sinner. كُلِّ بَنِ آدَمْ خَطَّاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that every son of Adam is a sinner. And what is our responsibility? It's to make tawbah. It's to make repentance. It's to feel guilty, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, and then try not to do that sin again. And if we keep sinning, then we do the same process, and we do it again, we make the same process. So that's not a hypocrite. So applaud yourself for being the vehicle of inspiration to somebody else, and maybe the fact that they got inspired later, it might soak in. Whatever you hear, this whole entire weekend, maybe you left like, it was okay, but later, something's gonna happen and it's gonna trigger. It's almost like you've been injected with all kinds of things that lay dormant, and all of a sudden when you go out in the world, something will trigger that. It's kind of like an alien thing, and it just kind of starts growing inside of you. But it's a good thing. Wallahi, this is something, I know I've watched too many of those weird movies. But really, that's what it is, that drop of knowledge that reminds, like, wait a minute, I heard that before. Oh wow, that was really true what that person said. This is all wonderful. Take this whole weekend as an experience, and you may feel it at sometimes now, you may not later, but inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in the things that you received, and it will come true to life later, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all for coming and doing your best. You're not hypocrites.
Next question is, how do you approach leadership if you see faults in the work being done?
That's another zinger.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. How do you approach leadership if you see faults in the work being done?
That's a good one.
As soon as the hypocrisy question was asked, I was like, dang, finally, she got her jab, But here I am. Finding faults in the work being done does not, our efforts are human efforts. Our efforts, one time I remember I was sitting with one of my teachers and I was like, Sheikh, I feel like sometimes we're fighting a battle that we're destined to lose. That no matter how great MAS gets, no matter how great ICNA and YM and Mass Youth get, and no matter how many masajid we get in America, this is kind of a dark question. I was maybe a little bit emo that day, right? But like, no matter how rough it gets, we may be wondering like, how are we going to succeed? Because the tide against us is stronger than us. You ever feel that way? That the tide against Islam or the tide against our success is stronger than us. My teacher looked at me and very nonchalantly and casually said, who told you that you're going to win? This ain't about you winning. This is not about you. Tariq, with all due respect, sit down. You ever get like just stop talking and sit down? Like that's what I was like. This isn't about you winning. This isn't about you making it. This is about you being able to stand in front of Allah and saying, Ya Allah, we tried our best. So if there are imperfections in our work, this is only a reminder of the perfection of Allah. And it is to show us that when I bring a particular skill to the table, Sister Lobna brings a particular skill to the table, your brother brings you as a brother bring a skill to the table, and the sister brings one. That is the beauty of jama'ah work. That we complement each other's weaknesses and each other's skill sets, and by coming together, we form something that's beautiful and profound. So the weaknesses and the shortcomings that we see, they should not be something that hold us back. They should be something that pushes us forward. So allowing us to have that mentality, because you could say, you know what, this event, for example, it lacked in this way, so I'm going to stop doing work. Let me tell you, if you want to see shaitan in the flesh, that's as close as it's going to get. When shaitan pushes you to abandon work because it's not meeting your expectations, you're falling into his greatest trap. Every amount of work, regardless of how small it is in the eyes of humanity, is always great in the eyes of the creator of humanity. So no matter how small it is in your eyes, or how small it is in the eyes of, putting this badge together. Somebody needed to cut out the paper, open this plastic and put the paper inside. That may be in the eyes of Allah more valuable than me and Sister Lobna's efforts combined. That may be. So never look down on any action and never think that something is small in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't worry about the imperfections, just seek the pleasure of the perfect one subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The next question reads, we aren't supposed to seek leadership positions, so how do we know we're supposed to be in the leadership positions that we currently hold?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think this is a misunderstood concept. Wallahu alam, Allah knows best. I think this is a little bit misunderstood. For someone to say, you know what, I just want to be in the spotlight. I want to be a leader. I want people to look up to me. I think this is what is meant by that you don't seek leadership. But what if you have a really good skill? You're really good at something. It's like, wait a minute, I know how to do this thing. I can help you guys. You go to the masjid and say, you know what? I notice that people come, and this is a true problem, that people come who that are new to the masjid, or they don't fit the majority of the ethnicity or the 3 or 4 ethnicities of this masjid, and I notice that they're off to themselves. Let's have a welcoming, can we have a welcoming committee? Everybody has a badge, 3 or 4 people assigned every week, ask me or welcome to our masjid, and we go and greet them and connect them to other people. What if you had that idea? Should you say, oh no, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't seek leadership, that's not good. I'm just, forget it. And then people go and come and they never come back to the masjid because you were afraid to be a leader. Seeking leadership, what that means that we shouldn't seek it, we shouldn't try to seek the fame or for people to praise us or like, wow, look at that great leader in whatever project, right? In whatever project. But if we have a skill and we want to share that and we want to implement something, that's our responsibility actually. It's your responsibility to go ahead and try to implement that. So that's the difference, is what is our intention behind it? We're trying to go for fame and pats on the back and notoriety, or are we trying to really implement something that we're passionate about and we feel like we can help out in? So Allahu Alam, this is the difference, and I hope that we don't stop ourselves because of this confusion, inshallah.
If your natural inclination is to be antisocial or somewhat timid, what things can we remind ourselves with to remember that it's worth being an active leader in the Ummah?
With regards to being antisocial, I feel like there's this misconception that everybody that's a leader is an extrovert. That everybody that's a leader is somebody that's super outgoing, super like fun and exciting and always on and like the Energizer Bunny, like that. I am not that by any means, and many scholars of Islam and many leaders of Islam are not that. Your responsibility as a leader is based off of who you are. So what that means is part of your leadership, if you're not somebody that likes public speaking, yes, you should get out of your comfort zone, but maybe you're an author. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're a photographer. Maybe you're somebody that begins online campaigns. Maybe you're an educator. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a rapper. Maybe you do spoken word. Maybe you do so many different things. There are so many different ways to be a leader than one. And many of our leaders are unknown. And many of our leaders will never be famous in this world. And inshallah, when you enter Jannah, you will see these people in their palace and you'll be like, man, who is that guy? He must have lived 1,000 years before me. No, he actually lived down the street from you. I never knew who he was, but Allah knows these things. So embrace who you are, find where you're smart at. Every time I sit in my office and a youth comes to me and says, how can I make a difference? I don't tell him what to do, I ask him what he likes to do. And I ask him what he enjoys doing. And I ask him where he wants to be helpful. And then based off of that, we can navigate the work that we do. Don't try to fit a different mold. Embrace who you are and then excel at being the very best version of that, inshallah ta'ala.
Alright, and the last question, inshallah, to conclude this session has to do with mentorship. So the question is, how do each of you mentor others? So if you can share like a small gem of your own mentorship.
We both get to share, see? Alhamdulillah. How do we mentorship others? I think the most valuable thing that you could give to somebody is your time. And it's for free. It is costly in the sense, in business we learn time is money. I tell my kids that sometimes, like time is money. Like move it. But really the best gift you can give to somebody is your time. Answer the phone, meet them for coffee. You know what, you're really busy. When we're talking about the life balance here, some of you're studying for exams, or you're a mom with kids, or you're a leader and you're really busy doing a project. Tell that youth to come. Say, come help me set this thing up and let's talk. Let's talk about your problem. Let's talk about that girl that you want to marry. The sister comes and literally, we've seen these examples. Come to the mall, I gotta go pick something up. Come with me, or let's go shopping. And you're talking. This is the best way to talk about problems. I'm not saying that mentorship is only dealing with problems, but it's one of the best ways that you can engage with people is not to say, you know what, I don't have time, I'm so busy. The best way to help others become leaders in their due right is to mentor them, is to spend time with them. I'm truly blessed to have my mentors over, the past 20 years. I've moved, I've gone here, they would always visit, they would make that time to reach out, to call, to text. It's amazing and it's powerful. That's what shapes and leads, and that's who Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was. I really ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really awakens that mentorship role in those of you out there, and for those of you who are seeking that mentorship, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants that to you. And each one of us should have that dual relationship. We're helping to mentor those younger than us, and we're receiving that mentorship, whether it's from parents or uncles or community members or shuyukh or imams or youth leaders. It should always be that dual relationship, and that's the best guidance that we could possibly get, inshallah.
I think that was a beautiful answer, and I don't think that there's much really that can be said other than to learn to show unconditional love to the people that we come across. So as you are being a mentor, show the person love. Don't be shy to show the person love. Show them that you value their time and show them that you value their effort. If every single time a person sits with you, they feel like you're taking a big hit for them to be in their company, there's a problem in the equation. Meaning that we need to make a point to actually put everything aside, put our phones aside. It actually breaks my heart to be able to sit in a gathering sometimes and see everybody on their phone. And I'm not like somebody who's not on my phone a lot, my family can attest to otherwise, but sometimes I'll literally be with my friends, I'm like, alright guys, no phone zone. Put the phones in the middle, intah al-kalam. Like it's over. And just have a healthy dialogue and conversation. And making a point to be aware of yourself. It's so much easier to observe others than it is to observe ourselves. So much easier. It's like really, really important and integral for our own growth to take time to do some introspection, to make time to do some self-observing. How am I really projecting myself to others? When the Sahaba came, when that young companion came as a child and went to the Prophet ﷺ and told him that his bird died. Allahu Akbar. His pet bird died. When another companion came to the Prophet ﷺ and told him, "O Messenger of Allah, my mom is not pleased with me." He's a messenger of Allah where the angels from above the heavens come down to speak to him. And yet he made time to hear him out. We are never above the concerns of the people that live next to us or across from us or people in our community. Make a time, and like the sister said, really I couldn't say it any better, sometimes it's the most casual of things. Sometimes it's picking them up and doing errands together. Sometimes it's just sitting in the masjid together. It doesn't always have to be an expensive feast. It doesn't always have to be a road trip. Sometimes it's the simplest of things, and this is the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ. I'll end with one thing that shows us the true power of mentorship. The Prophet ﷺ, in one of the most defining moments in the seerah, was found leaving his house after Dhuhr. And anybody who's ever went to Saudi Arabia, they know that after Dhuhr is like 2 a.m. in America. It's like dead silent. You know where you see the shrub rolling in the wind? You know, it's like that desert time. You know when the two guys come out with the guns in the Western movie and they're like, what? You know that one? It's like there's nobody out in the street at all. And the Prophet ﷺ is wrapped up and his face is covered. And he goes and he walks across and nobody is out there. And he goes and he knocks on the door of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, the daughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, she narrates the story. And she says that my father had at this point of time prepared 2 camels without any direction, just out of sheer hope that him and the Prophet ﷺ would be taking a journey across the desert together, where there's no water, no food, no nothing. He wanted nothing but to be in the company of who? The company of the best of company from creation, Rasulullah ﷺ. And Khadija and Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she says that the Prophet ﷺ knocked on the door, and the Prophet and Abu Bakr opens the door. He sees the Prophet ﷺ in front of him. He doesn't know who he is. The Prophet ﷺ uncovers his face, and he looks at the Prophet ﷺ and he says, "As-suhba ya Rasulullah, as-suhba ya Rasulullah, will I be your companion on this journey, O Messenger of Allah? Will I be in your company throughout this time?" That is the power of companionship and mentorship. That when we find the people that are worth it, they'd be worth walking across the desert for countless miles. 300 or so kilometers lie between Mecca and Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr were in the company of each other, with the Prophet ﷺ as a mentor and Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu as a mentee in each and every single step of the way. That is the power of mentorship. It doesn't always have to be glitzy and glamoury. It doesn't always have to be blingy. It's about what happens with the hearts and the souls, not what happens on the outside. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with that mentorship, inshallah.